Okay, so I don't see your request. Gotcha.
We are in the
Okay,
game. Look at
yeah,
that.
we got it. Had a few technical difficulties there, but we got it.
There you go.
I'm doing well, thank you. Okay, so first I want to say happy Saturday and thank you for joining us. Today, Todd Clark will be joining me in sharing his passion for scuba diving. Todd Clark has an organization called Urban Scuba Kids. Okay. And I'll let him share information about that. But he reached out to me recently because he wanted to see how we could collaborate. So he basically does scuba diving for recreation. And so he wants to introduce scuba diving to urban children. So I'll let you go ahead and tell a little bit more about that, Todd. So, Todd, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm originally a just the average kid. I grew up in a single family home. My mom grew up and did an awesome job of raising me and my uh, three sisters. Um, I didn't have much of, just the average, shoes, clothes, and went to school on a daily basis like I'm supposed to. Got the grades I'm supposed to get. I went to college like everybody else is supposed to. But in the end, I had a dream to be a scuba diver back when I was young, about 10 years old, and I never got to really actually um, make that goal happen until I got older. Um, so, yeah, I'm currently a Grady paramedic. I used to be a fireman as well. That's another goal that I also wanted to do when I was younger. I achieved that goal, and I still continue to serve people, which I love to do. Um, and yeah, been doing it for
Okay.
what, 12, 13 years now.
Okay. So what is your degree in?
I have a degree in computer science. I originally was a biochemistry major, but it was just too much hustle and bustle for me on top of working like a normal adult. Um, so yeah.
Okay. So now you're a paramedic, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm a Grady paramedic. Yeah.
Okay. So what and why did you go into that particular area? I'm just curious.
When I was young, I actually had paramedics respond to my house for my sister. She actually tried to swallow a nickel, and the nickel got stuck on the top of the roof of her mouth, and she didn't really need medical attention. So they were like, "Hey, you can go with us, or you can, just get your mom to take you. This, and the other." My mom was like, "Okay, we'll go in the car." And I saw that it was cool that they got there, they took care of the situation, and everything was cool, calm, and collected. So kind of there, put in the back of my mind, like, "Hey, something I could probably do and be pretty good at it," which I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you get into scuba diving? Because that's entirely
Really
different
the
from
reason
being a
why.
paramedic.
When I was younger, I was watching Shark Week with my grandfather, and I asked him one day, I was like, "Hey, so people actually get paid to take pictures of sharks?" He was like, "Yeah, people do it all the time." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." I said, "I wouldn't mind doing that." So about a week later, back in those days, YMCA used to send catalogs to the house. And I went and found the YMCA catalog, flipped to the scuba section where they used to certify back in the day. And I looked for the class, showed it to him, showed it to my mother, and they were like, "We can't do it." So that was the first shutdown. The second shutdown was when I was in Cub Scouts. And Cub Scouts, leads into Boy Scouts. And they do actually have a scuba version of, or a patch um, in their world. And After the second or third semester, next thing I know, not semester, but a group meeting, they wanted dues, and my mom couldn't afford it. So, it's not really an essential, and I was kicked out of that. So, about 2 years ago, it was just a goal that I had set in my mind, and I was like, hey, I'm going to learn to scuba dive and then go to the Maldives. I did both of those.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. What does scuba diving entail? So what does the entire process entail if you want to do it recreationally? I'm just curious. What does it entail?
So first, you got to sign up. They have two different categories. They have Discover Scuba, which you pay a small amount compared to the actual course. What we do is introduce you to the scuba gear, the basic concepts, and things like that. And then after that, we go into a pool, maybe 7 feet, maybe 10 feet deep, and we introduce you just to the basic, the BCD, to breathe underwater because that might be uncomfortable for some people. Um, how to kick with your fins, how to use a snorkel, how to clear a mask, different things like that. Once you feel like that is awesome and you're pretty comfortable with it, we actually do the scuba course. We start off with a basic swim. I'm not the best Michael Phelps. I'm not a Michael Phelps at all. Please don't
Okay.
let anybody tell you different. Um, where you just have to swim a couple laps of the pool. You have to tread water for 5 minutes, but tread water also includes you floating. I mean, just floating is, it's pretty simple. I mean, some people can't though. I mean, we'll work with people like that. We have swim instructors for my specific organization to help you out. Um, and after you tread water and things like that, you pass those tests. We go back to what we basically taught you in Discover Scuba. Um, Patty bases everything off of like a step learning. So, step one, put on the jacket. Step two, put your air on. Step three, put it in your mouth. Step four, what happens if it comes out of your mouth? Type deal. So yeah, it's pretty easy and awesome. It's upsetting that that can't be taught to everybody um, on like a basic this is community thing that we're gonna do. And I think it should be accessible to all people instead of just that little niche of people that want to pay that
Okay.
extra money. And whatnot.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. So swimming is not a requirement for scuba diving?
No, so there's been plenty of discussions since I started this organization with my friends and family, including just random people I've talked to. They say, hey, is scuba diving, a swim-friendly sport, or is it, vice versa? The whole purpose of swimming is to keep you above water to what? Breathe.
Mhm.
The whole thing about scuba, which is the self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Yeah, I just want to mention this. That's the acronym SCUBA. And SCUBA,
Yeah,
say that one more time. What is so it's an acronym, it's a term for what now?
scuba. Yes, it's self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. So you don't have to know, but all you need to know is how to kick your feet and how to control yourself underwater. So you don't need to worry about the swimming aspect because you have your oxygen with you on your back. So yeah,
Yeah. So how long can you remain underwater with the oxygen tank? And is it heavy? Is that tank heavy?
it is heavy, and especially for little kids and little ladies. You can get assistance. There's several different ways to get in the water and to get the jacket on as well. You can stay underwater. It depends on the person. So a big guy like me, um, when I first started, a tank that should last about an hour and 10 minutes only lasts me about 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
With
Okay.
practice makes perfect. So now I'm at about an hour and maybe a minute or two on one
Gotcha.
tank
So
underwater.
basically what you're doing is recirculating that oxygen that you're breathing in. Is that what you're doing? Is that how this?
So that
Yeah.
the recirculating is not so like Navy SEALs, things like that. You see them with the little tubes around their mouth and whatever, whatnot. That's called the closed circuit rebreather.
Okay.
They circulate the air. What we are using, traditional recreational, what the kids are going to be using is open circuit. So they breathe the air out of the tank, kind of like a firefighter or something like that inside of a house. You hear them breathing in and out. So we take the air out of the tank and then that's it. So we only use that air in the tank, and then once it's gone, it's gone.
Okay, so let me ask you. So you offer these opportunities for male and females, and what is the age range
Man,
of this?
oh, of course. Age range is 10 to 17. I will do 8 and 9-year-olds on like a special occasion. Not really special occasion, but it takes a little bit more time. You got to sit down with them. You got to be
Gotcha.
personable with them, things like that. But the 10 to 17-year-olds is not the case. Um, I forgot where were we at. Um, we take 10 to 17-year-old kids, and we just throw them, not really throw them in the pool, but
Okay.
we uh, we get the book stuff ready. We do a presentation the first day, and then the second day we do the pool time. So that first Thursday, so it's usually a Thursday, Friday, and then on weekends, if somebody needs help, we'll go back to the pool and do it together, things like that. Um, we'll go over chapter, make sure we understand it Thursday, and then Friday we'll jump in the pool and make sure we're good to go.
Okay, well, let me ask you, how many sessions is required for one of the youth if they participate? So how many sessions does that, cover for
So
them to get
14
comfortable?
weeks, 14 weeks
Mhm.
for this first group. And then that leads into the summer. We're thinking about opening a kind of like a day camp or a summer camp for the kids, 2019 summer camp, which would help out tremendously with parents and whatever, whatnot, especially kids being out of school. Um, that's the next step. And yeah, it was just Thursday, Friday after school.
Okay, now here's another thing. There are very few people of color that are represented in that particular field. Do you know what the percentages are? Because I think this is a great opportunity to
It's about
provide something different.
15%,
Wow.
15% adults and children, all alike. I'm
Wow.
associated with the National Association of Black Scuba Divers, and
Okay.
well, basically their outreach is just trying to get more African Americans to scuba dive. The issue they're running into now is they don't have a lot of youth to continue that um, education and I guess responsibility into the future. So I'm here. I guess I'm here to change all that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, let me just say that, like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, that Todd reached out to me because he offers recreational scuba diving, but he wanted to connect it with STEM, which I do, science, technology, engineering, and math. And I thought that
Yep.
was a great way to merge the two because let's say if you have a child that's doing scuba diving recreationally and they truly love it, it becomes their passion. It could be transferred into a STEM career, for example, marine biology. Now, first of all, let me just mention that marine biologists, what they do is they study sea creatures. And you probably say, okay, why would I want to know about that particular ecosystem? It's significant because they can actually discover new compounds to make medications by studying new marine bacteria. They can also tag and track whales and learn about their behavior. They can also research how ocean acidification is affecting marine organisms. And let me give you an example of that. Okay, so when it comes to CO2 emissions, okay, that CO2, the reason why we have the emissions to avoid that and we're changing the way cars are made, all types of vehicles, is because the CO2 is absorbed into the ocean, which is making it more acidic. So that's affecting like the coral reefs. The coral reefs
Hmm.
are responsible for maintaining our coastal lines from the tides and the tropical storms. So you can see right there how that's significant. But this is a great way where they can use that skill set if it becomes a passion, and it could be transferred into a career, a STEM career. And they make pretty much, it depends. When you first start any job, the salary is minimal. However, it can
Yeah.
go up to six figures. So it really just depends. So I thought that was a great way to merge the two. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Todd, was I know that you have, when you describe, let me see, how did you, so you basically want to share your love for this particular recreational, well, let me just mention this too, that you're certified. So you're a certified scuba diver.
I'm a
Please tell them
certified
what it,
scuba instructor.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, so,
Yeah.
okay, that's important. So let me ask you this. What is required to become certified in scuba diving instruction?
Oh, so there's two ways we go about it. You can either do e-learning, where you do it at your own pace. You can do it in 3 days. You can become certified in pretty much a weekend if you wanted to, as an adult. Um, that's the cool thing about PADI, which is the Professional Association of Dive Instructors. You can learn at your own pace. I broke it down to 14 weeks for the kids because they have school already there. I want them to absorb what I'm telling them um, at their own pace, one, but two, where they understand it and where they won't get themselves in trouble when they are in the water. So I want to make sure they are extremely comfortable. Um, what I'm doing with my kids are some kids that I'm teaching don't even have Wi-Fi. So they can, you know, if I was to do the e-learning, which is more expensive as well, um, I want them to be able to grasp it. So we're doing book work. Actually doing the nitty gritty. We're doing book work. So that's why it's also extended as well. Um, so the 10 to 17 year olds, it depends on the kid. Most of the kids that we are picking application wise, they excel in reading, learning, things like that. And then we have a few that are just, you know, just need a little extra help, which is fine. And then we'll take our time and get them to learn as well.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Okay,
most,
so
go ahead.
basically, so you do have some reading materials that they have to go
Yes,
through.
I have 10 10 open water scuba books for the kids they can take home. The parents can read with them and assist them as well. I
Well, let
have
me ask you something.
PowerPoints, everything else go.
Okay, how do you get the parents to buy into this? Because I think that's always important because the only way the child is going to really be successful is if the parent is actually bringing them
Right.
to the location. So how are you going to get them to buy into this? Because this is not something
So
that's common in our communities.
most of the kids that I have in the community are already associated with the city of Atlanta or um, have some kind of ties with the city of Atlanta and the after school program. So they're kind of already established or, you know, have a relationship with the city or someone with the city of Atlanta
Okay.
that I can connect with to, I guess, pass them along and enter into the program. On top of having you know, I look at the application, they fill out the application for the kid. They say specifically why they want to be certified, not just, hey, my kid needs to be in this. It's like,
Awesome.
hey, my son Joshua, you know, he's really adventurous, this, is that, and the other. He watches Discovery Channel every day. He's always talking about animals, this, is that, and the other. I feel like he would be extremely interested in your program and what you offer.
Okay, so what's the maximum number of students that can participate at one time?
At one time, you know, of course, the book portion, it's unlimited. I only do 4 kids in a pool at a time, but I
Okay.
can have up to, you know, as many kids on the outside. So we're starting off with 8 kids this semester or this program, 2019 spring program.
Okay.
Um, we're doing those 8 kids, and yeah,
Okay.
they
So
should be
what's
all right.
your long-term vision for urban scuba kids?
So after these kids get certified as open water scuba divers, I have a friend, Kenneth. He runs Diving with a Purpose. He has Diving with a Purpose for us grown folks, and he has Youth Diving with a Purpose. Um, and he does coral restoration, archaeology for slave ships,
Oh,
and
nice.
um, makes them oceanic scientists as well. And then where you chime in is you
Hmm.
also make them marine biologists and things like that, and have that, you know, at least have them on that forefront to when they apply for colleges and things like that, or you know, programs, summer programs even bigger than mine. Um, they have that footing behind them that you offer.
Oh, awesome. And another thing I wanted to mention is another field that's related to scuba diving is oceanography. So
Right.
oceanographers, they actually study the
Hmm.
salinity of the water, the amount of salt content in the water, as well as the tides and everything, because they want to see how that affects the weather pattern. So that's another thing that they
Right.
can go into, which is a STEM career, and that's a very lucrative career too. Well, if people want to learn more about your organization, because I do want to mention that this is a nonprofit organization, but nonprofit doesn't always mean that it's free. However, is your program free?
Right. It's pretty much free. I might ask for $5 here or there, $20. You name it, you got it. You know, the $20 for me is $20 for the kids. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
it's pretty much free. I don't want the kids to pay for anything because that was my hiccup when I was young. And I could be on National Geographic right now. I could be on Discovery Channel. I could be on Travel Channel as a journalist. Opportunities are limitless, but I didn't have that opportunity presented to me. I mean, I could be a biologist for, the CDC. You never know. So yeah, I just want the opportunity to be out there for the kids that don't even have that opportunity available to them now, compared to other kids that actually have, opportunities that aren't there because of their financial basis and their family, this, that, and the other.
Okay.
So it's pretty much
Well,
free.
oh, okay. So now I know that, well, let me just mention about the free thing. I understand. However,
Hmm.
people need to keep in mind that there's equipment involved. Okay.
There
So,
is, there
and
is.
it's not cheap. And so I think
Not
that it's important that people
right,
know that, in order to maintain it and to even upgrade, it requires
right.
money. So even though
Oh
you're a
yeah,
nonprofit, you're still a
right,
business. Okay. So I
right.
just want to keep that in mind. Now you are having a fundraiser. Can you tell us about your fundraiser?
We're having a fundraiser January 12th at Milltown Arms over here in Cabbagetown. It's a small area in the city of Atlanta off of Boulevard and Memorials, the closest big cross streets. We're going to have food, of course, drink specials. We're doing a silent auction, a raffle for several things. We're also selling bracelets for the kids. We partnered with Four Ocean, which is a company that takes plastics from around the world. That what they do is they employ people who actually take plastics from the ocean. They recycle the plastics and the string and this, that, and the other, make bracelets out of it. 100% of the proceeds go to the kids. They partnered with me last week, and we're gonna have those on sale as well. And yeah, I'll have a video of me and interviews like this, and I'll be there to talk. Hopefully some other city figures will be there. Big Tigger.
Awesome. So, do you have any last words before we conclude?
I thank you for meeting with you. I appreciate you reaching out. I'm very thankful for this interview, and we will make some changes in this world with both of our organizations. I'm sure.
Okay.
I guarantee
Wonderful.
that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Todd. It was great, speaking with you and learning more about your organization. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Bye bye.